Hi, and welcome to Nomisma. My name's Ashley, and in today's video, I'll be giving you a brief overview of the Nomisma platform, consisting of what it is, how it works, and some of our key features. So Nomisma is a completely cloud-based platform comprised of 8 modules which are all completely interconnected. And it's been built by accountants for accountants and bookkeepers. So as we go through this, I'm sure you'll recognize some of the key problems that we've resolved. But the 8 individual modules we have are CRM and practice management, quotes, proposals, and letters of engagement. And then we've got onboarding, end-to-end onboarding for your clients, where you can do AML ID checks and professional clearance letters and 648 authorization. And then in the last module in the CRM is our company secretarial. And then from a compliance perspective, we have bookkeeping, payroll, year-end accounts, and self-assessments. And in between those 4 keywords, we've also got a lot more functionality. So in final accounts, for example, we do CT 600s. In payroll, we also do pensions. And in bookkeeping, we've got VAT. So there's an awful lot of functionality within this platform. And like I said, it's completely interconnected. So if you were to be doing the bookkeeping, then let's say you're doing the bookkeeping for a self-employed individual, all of that bookkeeping data will automatically be shared to the self-assessment. You can create the link. And then in the second, third, and fourth year, the link's there. So all you have to do from a self-assessment perspective is review, add any additional income if they have any, and then file. But you can also do the same for partnerships and dividends. And then from a payroll perspective, when you run the payroll, it can be completely automated. But in addition to that, it will post the journal to the bookkeeping profile. So the automation I speak about is mainly for director-only limited companies where they're being paid up to the national insurance threshold. And Nomisma would just automatically run the payroll, file it with HMRC, send the payslips, and post the journal for you. All you need to do is turn it on and set the salary at which it should run at. So you can reduce your administration time from that perspective to almost zero. And then from a final accounts perspective, it's completely linked to the bookkeeping module. Every single nominal code we have is mapped to an IXBRL code. So almost 80% of our final accounts for FRS 105 are completely automated from bookkeeping. All that's left to do from your perspective is review the final accounts, add any additional notes or takeaway notes, and then file with HMRC. So let's get started. The screen you can see at the moment is your agent dashboard. So on the left side, you've got your clients, and on the right side, you've got your deadlines. Each and every one of these numbers are drillable, so you can click down into them to see what's behind them. So from a client perspective, they're all grouped by entity and service type. So if I wanted to see all of my limited companies that I'm doing VAT returns for, I can click that and it will show me all of the clients behind it. Likewise, if I wanted to see all of my limited companies that I'm doing RTIs for, I can click that. It will take me to the payrolls. So as an example, let's go into the VAT returns that we're doing for limited companies. So we've got Barney's, Moe's, and Springfield Nuclear Power Plant. If we click into one of these, it will then take us to the bookkeeping profile. So this is where we can begin doing the bookkeeping, but also you can give your client access to this so that they can do the bookkeeping themselves. And from that perspective, we actually also have a mobile receipt catcher app where your clients can raise sales invoices, but also take pictures of receipts, which will be uploaded to this section here, pending receipts, ready for you to do the bookkeeping. But we have got more functionality as well. So we've got cross-client reporting where you can actually see a list of all of the pending receipts across all of your clients. So you know exactly how many receipts are pending bookkeeping for each of your clients. But if we go back to the dashboard, on the right side, what I was showing you was the deadlines. So you can actually drill down into the deadlines as well. And this is really useful from a workflow perspective. So if we wanted to go into all of our VAT returns that are currently overdue, we can click the number 2. It will then take us to the companies where we need to produce the VAT return. And then if we drill down into that, it will then take us to the bookkeeping profile to begin doing the bookkeeping in order to produce the VAT return. And like I said, it's MTD ready, so you can file directly to HMRC. So coming back to the agent screens, on the left menu, we've got a few more tabs. And we've built these tabs so that you can manage your task on a more granular level. So we've got final accounts, self-assessment, partnership, VAT, payroll, and CIS. They are all very similar, but the one that I'd like to focus on today, because it's very topical, is self-assessment. So within self-assessment, we've got a dashboard, and at the top, we've got some KPIs. And we've actually thought about an accountant's workflow in terms of how you get the data in order to begin producing the self-assessment. So you can send a tax questionnaire from the platform itself. By selecting send tax questionnaire, it will come up with a list of all of your clients that you've sent tax returns, you haven't sent tax questionnaires to yet. But if I was to send a tax questionnaire reminder, it would then show me a list of all of the clients that have been sent a questionnaire but haven't responded yet. So at the bottom here, you can see I've got a list of accountants. We've got a not allocated one where we can see all of the tasks that haven't been allocated to members of staff yet. But then we've got Ashhall, and we can see the number of tasks they have in each of their names. We can also see the statuses that each of the tasks are at. So the reason why the send tax questionnaire and the tax questionnaire reminder aren't being populated at the moment is because there aren't any in the questionnaire sent and there aren't any in not started. All of the tasks have now been started. So in theory, I've received the responses for all of my clients. But if you were to send a tax questionnaire, it will go from not started to questionnaire sent. And then once you receive a response, it will go to response received. And the questionnaire will be stored in Nomisma because we've created a HTML page that your client can log into and just answer the questions. But if we click onto each of these numbers, so let's have a look at Ashhall and in progress, we can then see the list of clients behind it. And if we wanted to assign it to a new accountant, we can select the new accountant to assign it to. So this is really useful for task management and assigning it to different members of staff. Let's say if a member of staff is ill and you need someone to cover their tasks. But we can also change the work status. So we can update that. And we can add notes to this. So if I wanted to view the notes, I can view all of the notes that all of the members of staff in the practice have added, but I can also add my own. So at any time, anyone can see roughly what's going on with this client. And then when you're working on this tax return, you can actually drill down into the name to go to the self-assessment profile. So on this page, you can see here, I've got my key figures, work status notes, any internal notes, and then quick jump forms to different tax return forms. And by selecting each one of these, it will take me to the relevant section of the tax return. So as I said earlier, we've got self-employment. So if we go into self-employment, I've got a self-employment full page that's been filled in already here. It actually has a link, but if I delete this, and then I can link the business in the top right-hand corner. So what this does is it searches through all of the bookkeeping profiles that I've got, and it looks for self-employed individuals that have the same name as the self-assessment that I'm producing. So it's found one match. Business name is Mr. Plough. The person's name is Homer J. Simpson. Turnover is 50,000. There's no UTR number, but that can be added afterwards. I can either fill in the short form or the full form. I can enter a business description. So let's say ploughing services. And I want to fill in the full form just to show you more functionality. So let's select link. And then all of the details have been populated on this self-assessment form. So the accounting period start date, the accounting period end date, their income, their expenditure, and we can also add back if there's any disallowable amounts in the expenditure. Then we've got capital allowances, which you can claim for, your taxable profit and loss calculation, how you want to utilize the losses, any CIS and other tax deductions, the balance sheet. So we've got assets, liabilities, net business assets, and capital account, national insurance contributions, and then any other information. So when we're ready, we can click save. That will then save all of the information on the page, and you'll then be able to review it on the dashboard. Now that we've created that link, it will be there for the foreseeable future. So next year, as you do the bookkeeping for that self-employment and you create the self-assessment profile, the self-employment details will be linked. So when it comes to the year end, all you need to do is review the self-assessment before filing and add any other income if they have any. So you can add capital gains, you can add foreign income, trust income, any pension information, any dividends, interest, absolutely everything. And you can also claim for tax reliefs or any other pages. And there's a few pages for additional information as well. But if we were to go into employment, you can also link an employment from the payroll. And then going one step further, let's say you had rental property income from a property. You can enter the information on the page. So if we go to income, you've got income from property. You can fill in those pages. And normally you'll fill in, a set of working papers. So you can go to documents and you can upload the working papers and supporting documents into this section. So this will act as your record storage. And then once you're ready, you can download the self-assessment forms, send them to the client, get approval, and then the next step is to submit it to HMRC. So you can do all of that within the system. So that is the end-to-end self-assessment workflow for Nomisma. So if we close this now and go back to the dashboard, let's go into a bookkeeping profile and have a little bit of a look at the bookkeeping and some of the features we have. So let's have a look at a limited company that we're doing bookkeeping for. We can go into any single one of these. So let's select Quickie Mart. And we can see the dashboard here. So on the dashboard, we've got £20,000 worth of unpaid sales invoices, and we've got 0 in unreconciled transactions. But I won't spend too long on this dashboard because you can have a little bit of a look at it, but there's an awful lot of functionality here. But if we go to sales, this is where we can view a list of all of the sales invoices. And in the top right-hand corner, you can quickly switch between each of the different accounting periods. You can also create new accounting periods as well. And you can create new invoices, new repeat invoices, batch entries. You can view your customer list. There's all sorts of functionality here. But one of the unique aspects of Nomisma, but not necessarily unique, but not many cloud providers have this, is a cash taking sheet. So if you select the cash taking sheet, really useful for any cash-based businesses. You can then enter your daily takings for any of the cash-based businesses. But let's duplicate this invoice. So let's copy this, change the invoice number to 3, enter, let's say 40,000 this time, save that. It's created the new invoice for 40,000. I can mark these invoices as paid, so receive a payment, and I can enter paid into bank, or I can assign it to a director. So I can say that it's received by director personally and save that. It's pre-populated it with today's date. So that invoice has now been paid. But if I was to go into expenditure, you can see I haven't got any expenses here at the moment, but I can add a new supplier bill. And the purpose of me doing this is because I want to show you exactly how it links through to final accounts. So I can select a supplier or I can create a new supplier. Let's just select Homer Simpson, stick with the theme of The Simpsons, enter a bill number. So we can select from the different nominal codes. There you go. So I've got 3 lines for £100. There's no VAT and I can't select VAT. And that's because this company is not VAT registered. But if I was to enable VAT, then I will be able to select from the different VAT types. So I can click save. It's then populated the sales invoice. Sorry, the supplier bill. The supplier's Homer Simpson. It's unpaid at the moment, but let's just make a payment and say that it's paid by director personally. And this time, let's just enter a partial payment. So save that. There you go. So the amount due is now £150. The payment has been allocated against the director, and that supplier bill is still outstanding. Now, in banking, we do actually have bank feeds. So you can come up to the new section and you can select set up new bank feed. Now, this will take you to our third-party supplier called TrueLayer, and you can then select the client bank account that you would like to link to that bookkeeping profile. And we've got a lot of different banks. I'll just scroll through this slowly so you can see them all. But there's most of the high street ones, as well as many of the challenger banks. But once you do that, it will then link to Nomisma. All of the bank transactions will then link and be pulled through on a daily basis, ready for you to do the bookkeeping in real time. And once those bank transactions are pulled through to Nomisma, you can then run bank rules. So for anyone that isn't familiar with bank rules, this will allow you to begin automating your bank reconciliation process over time based on descriptions. So if you have a certain description that always appears in the bank statement, you can copy that description, paste it in as a rule, and then you can say, if this description appears, then allocate it to this nominal code with this VAT rate, and you can then decide whether to apply it just to debit transactions, credit transactions, or both. Here you go. So I can enter the description, select the account, select the VAT rate, and enter the select whether it's apply it to debits, credits, or both. So that's the banking. The VAT returns are automatically populated based on the settings you enter within the settings pages. Within Accountant, you can do various different things. So you can import trial balance. You've also got the accountant tools here. So on any page, you can quickly jump to each of these. But you can import trial balances for previous years. You can go to your list of nominal codes, view a list of all of your journals, and enter new journals. You can quickly jump to the ledger reconciliation pages. So you can reconcile your sales ledger control account and your purchase ledger control account. But you can also jump to the reconcile bank pages. You can view a list of all of your bank rules and much more. Within reports, so these are really useful. So you can view your profit and loss. But one really, really useful feature here is the fact that you can create useful reports for management packs in minutes. So if I was to select this month and I wanted to compare that with the previous 10 months, you can do that. And then you can see a list of all of the months individually, and it will break it down. So let's say we wanted to drill down into our sales invoices. Let's click that. We can then view our sales invoices, and let's say we edit this sales invoice and we want to change the date to the 1st of June 2020 and save that. Now go back to reports, profit and loss, this month, compare with the previous 8 months. And now we can see the profit and loss has been updated. So we've got 20,000 here, 40,000 there. But you can also go into expenditure. So if we wanted to view our accountancy fees, you can quickly make changes with this. So if you have more than one transaction, you can select all of the transactions here and you can select move. And then that will allow you to move them in bulk to a different nominal code. Really useful when you're doing your comparative analysis and that side of things. So that's the reports. I'll skip payroll for the time being because that's a whole module in itself, but there's a lot of functionality. It's very feature rich. But now let's have a little look at the final accounts. So I'm going to skip ahead and go to the final accounts on screen. So we've got full accounts here, but we've also got filleted accounts. So this is a set of FRS 105, but we do also do FRS 102 1A. And you can produce and file them both through Nomisma. You can file the accounts with Companies House as well as HMRC. So let's scroll down and just have a little look at this. All of the information is automatically populated for me from the settings pages as well as my agent details. The director information is automatically populated based on their joining or leaving date, and it will be split accordingly. And then we've got an accountant's report where you can actually customize this to your own practice, whether you're CIMA, ACA, ICB, you can update it accordingly. The income statement, you can select the turnover and you can see exactly what's behind them. And this is the beauty of our link between the bookkeeping and final accounts. So this is really, really useful for your comparative analysis, just to make sure all of the codes are consistent across the years. And then we've got other charges, so we can see what that's made up of. And then we've got the statement of financial position. And the great thing with this is that the notes are automatically populated from each of the other modules. So general information is populated from the bookkeeping settings, and the average number of employees is populated from the payroll module. And then finally, we've got the detailed income statement. This isn't necessarily filed with Companies House, but it's just there for informational purposes. So that's the on-screen accounts. You would have noticed that I populated the bookkeeping with an additional invoice for 40,000, which is automatically populated here. And that is how seamless our final accounts and bookkeeping integration is. So once you're ready, you can then submit this to Companies House. So if I was to lock the period, you will then be able to submit this to Companies House if I enter the credentials, but at the moment I don't have any credentials entered. And then on the CT600, you can go to the CT computation, which is again automatically populated. You'll notice that the profit as per the accounts is 59,700, which includes the 40,000 that I added into the bookkeeping. And then you've got some of the individual pages for the CT600 if you need to make any changes, but most of the time you won't have to. And then you can go to submit CT600. And because this is actually dated in the future, it's not allowing me to submit this yet. And then if you wanted to make any changes to the CT600, you can. You can go to CT adjustment settings, which allows you to change the profit and loss add backs, change the way you utilize your losses, change the way you utilize your capital allowances, and you can also claim R&D. So that is the final accounts and corporation tax. So let's go back to the bookkeeping now. I've got payroll here. So by going into payroll, I haven't got any employees within this account at the moment, but I can add a new employee where I can enter all of the information. But the key feature here is the fact that you can completely automate payroll from start to finish just by selecting auto run payroll. And by enabling that, it will submit the FPS or EPS to HMRC on a monthly or weekly basis, or whatever frequency you could select. It will also send the payslips, and it will post the journal to the bookkeeping module. But last but not least, if it's for a director, it will also post it to the self-assessment ready for filing with HMRC. So I can't show you too much on this payroll right now, but let's go in and add an employee. So if we add an employee, I'll enter my information. So Ashley Hall, I can enter date of birth. It won't actually be my date of birth. Let's just enter a dummy address, dummy postcode. And then email address, which is ash@nomisma.co.uk. And enter salary of 500,000 in my dreams. Joining date. And then let's try and save that. Please enter a valid tax code. Okay, 1250L. Save. There you go. So the employee has been added successfully. It's worked out that I'm an eligible job holder for pension purposes, but I haven't entered the pension details yet for payroll. But now, if we go into Edit Company and make the payroll active, I will need to just enter some details here. Please enter HMRC office number. There you go. So now that I've entered that details and it's been enabled, I can enter the pension details if I wanted to, which will then allow me to file directly with several different pension providers. So we integrate with Now, Legal and General, Nest, Smart, the People's Pension, and Aviva. And then on this page, I can select Run Payroll. And based on the employee's payroll, so they weren't an employee as of the 30th of April, but let's go back to the employee and edit them. So we can edit it to be the 1st of April 2020. Save that. And then run payroll. And now you can see the payroll, the employee has been included on this payroll run. And you can see the year-to-date gross as well as the gross for the month. But if we select edit, then we can actually edit this if we wanted to increase it for this specific month. And then once you're happy, you can select which option you want to do here. You can either email the payslips to the employer, to the employees, or run it without emailing payslips. So let's just run that payroll. Now that payroll has been ran, the next pay date is the 31st of May. We can drill down into the employee and we can see their profile. So this is how we've automated payroll. We've created a whole payroll schedule so you can see all of your wages for the future. And then once you turn on auto payroll, every time the date gets to this date, it will then trigger a payroll and it will file it for you. But you can also download the payslip. And we do have different payslip templates if you prefer a blue, and you can upload your logo into the top right hand corner as well. So from a payroll perspective, that's it for now, but we can show you a lot more if you would like a more in-depth demo. We do offer one-to-one demos, so you can book one in. It just request a link from us or request a booking from us and we can get that sorted for you. But hopefully you found this useful. If you do have any other questions for us, please feel free to get in touch via phone, which is 020-3021-2326, or via email, and our email address is support@nomisma.co.uk. But I hope you found this very useful, and if you do have any questions, be sure to get in touch. Thank you, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye.